Good morning. So I am coming to you with this video, and this is the beginning of a pandemic, a global pandemic. And this might be bad news, as this article is stating, but I said early on in my videos that I believed that this was a pandemic because of how fast growing this virus is, the coronavirus. So this just in, and it started yesterday, and some other people were looking at it who I'm close to, and they were starting to say we should start trying to get masks. U.S. officials finally are now admitting that the coronavirus will be a pandemic with schools and businesses that are forced to close. So there are some other businesses that I've noticed that are all of a sudden abruptly closing, and they're affected already behind this coronavirus. And so even the economy is taking a hit, and certain people who, I don't want to seem mean, because every time you say the truth, people get offended. But China has taken a hit economically. A lot of their businesses have taken a dive behind this coronavirus because of where it originated. So apparently, when you tell the honest truth and you come out and you say what others won't say, people become offended. But I'm not here to make friends with anyone. I'm not here to side with anyone. I am just basically delivering what is to be true. And then some of it I honestly say are opinions, but a lot of times my opinions are based on what I have researched or what I've read or what I've experienced for myself. Sometimes people have different experiences, which is true, and so I'm entitled to opinions. But a lot of times I try to be as factual and on point as possible with some of the things that I've experienced for myself. But a lot of times I find that there are other people who've had very similar experiences to my own, and they are able to agree or agree to disagree on some things slightly. Depends on what the experiences or the shared experiences are. And so this particular virus, I know it seems as though that a lot of people have been really, really quick to be very vulgar and very angry, which some of that is fear, because people are afraid of dying because they saw the numbers, how quickly this virus has spread and how many people have died so far. And so that is where a lot of the anger and mistrust has come from. And a lot of times when they see someone that comes or looks like they come from that particular country, there's fear. And unfortunately, it looks to be like some people will target people, and they wanted to say in the media that it was a race thing. But I think it's not as much a race thing as it is the fear that creeps in, knowing that what we've seen and what we've heard and what we've known to actually happen in the epicenter where it originated was mainly in Wuhan, where it spread so rapidly and so many people succumbed to it so quickly. And so now we're at this point where it has not only spread in one region, but it has branched itself out, this virus, and it is now the coronavirus, which countries have confirmed cases. And so cases of the virus, which originated in the Chinese city of Wuhan, have been reported around the world now. And so I want you to brace yourself if you hadn't seen this article. And I know it is very scary to see this, because who would have thought we would live in a time when a pandemic would happen? But it, I read like things that have to do with medicine and science, and it could happen. A lot of things could happen. The world is bigger than we know, and so sometimes things are explainable and other things just aren't. And so that it's been a race with many different scientists to try to figure out how to create vaccines. But from a lot of the things that I've been researching is vaccines and cure. There is no cure for a virus. I want to say that, because even with HIV and AIDS, it's a virus and there's no cure for it. But they made medicine work after so many years to where people can live longer with that virus. And so I did read this before I start as an upside, but I'm not guaranteeing this. But they they as in scientists assume that this could morph into a seasonal type of virus eventually over time. So with a virus, it has to take its course, and it is doing so as we see. And so unfortunately, the first people that come in contact with it on the onset, depending on their body, their immune system, or how well that they can hold up with this type of virus. Some people are able to be asymptomatic, which means they don't show symptoms and they might can carry it a little longer before they're affected. Some people right away as they contract it, they're affected and they could possibly die. And so you don't know whose body is able to carry it. And so far what we've been hearing is some people have had some milder cases while others have had some really hard cases of this where they are unfortunately not able to fight it off and they end up dying. So the coronavirus spreads in Italy and South Korea. So the new cases of an infection from the new coronavirus that emerged in central Chinese city of Wuhan are being reported daily around the world. So in the mainland China, 2,715 people have died. So here in the U.S., it's called COVID-19, as the illness is officially known now, while more than 78,064 infections have been confirmed, according to the World Health Organization. So there's a timeline. There's also what they know so far about it and the coronavirus. Those are additional articles. So there's lots of articles about this if you want to, on your downtime or your time that you want to like kind of look at this yourself, see the numbers of people and how quickly it spreads, and the timeline of this and where it really started to have its impact of the outbreak. So hundreds of cases have been confirmed elsewhere, with the virus now present in more than 30 countries. So it is definitely a pandemic, like I had been saying earlier on in my videos. I know a lot of people don't agree all the time with what people say because they become personally offended because they feel like you're taking jabs at them. But this is about people's lives. And if I'm not serious or sounding serious to you, I am serious. This has to do with many lives, no matter what background, no matter what nationality or where you come from, what you look like. It can affect a lot of people, and it has already so. So territories with the confirmed cases of COVID-19. So there's maps. I don't know if you can see them, but you can definitely look at this article. So I'm just going to name out some of the countries: Afghanistan, Algeria, Australia, Austria, Bahrain, Belgium, Cambodia, Canada, China. And so you can see the numbers on the side that shows you Croatia, the numbers of confirmed people that have been affected by this virus. And so, with the largest being in China. And so, that's the reason why the news makes it out to be that Chinese people are being targeted. Um, and I think a lot of that they're leaving out is that there's a lot of fear. And when you hear the word death and when you hear the numbers of people that have been affected by the virus and where it originated, which is in China, they're not really good at expressing that people are extremely afraid of dying of something that they have no control over. And so they have a knack in the U.S. for making everything seem to be as though it's only centered around people's racial background and origin. Sometimes it is, and sometimes there's more to the story than just that. And so I have to truly admit that there is sometimes I believe race involved with some issues when it has to do with some of these illnesses. I feel like personally, now this might come from somewhere where you might say that could be possibly an opinion. Even with, where it originated from, some people were saying, oh, it's from bats, oh, it's from pangolins. Oh, I said, that I don't think it's from any one animal or any one vector. I think it could be from a number of things. And, I had some videos that I found where they showed wet markets, and I didn't even know what that was until some guy, he had videos of his travels. He was close to the epicenter of Wuhan, and he was actually there. And the videos were kind of disturbing because he was showing the wet markets and he was showing how the food is live. And you can see them actually slaughtering, all the different animals. And it was so many different ones. There were snakes, there were bats, there were so many different animals. So that's why I think that it's not just any one animal. Like I had an article that I had came across said there was 122 or maybe even more than that different wild and gamey animals that sometimes are eaten in different countries. And I feel like this, when there's other countries, they have customs, they have a culture, and there's certain things that they believe in. And so a lot of times that has to do with what they eat. And so that happens everywhere. And so that's not just with one group of people. And I'm full aware of that. And so I just want to make that clear. The thing is how safe is it? So that's the question. But then there are other sources that have come out that said there is a lab that is not, if not in Wuhan, it is in that region, close to that region. And there was a lab where they had really infectious viruses and things that they were studying, and they had animals. And they were testing the animals, and the animals were infected with these viruses. And then also there was also underground market where these people would not really get rid of these animals and discard of them properly. They would sell the animals to people. And those animals, if you're eating those animals thinking that they're safe and they have these diseases and things that they've been injected with, it's possible that people could ingest that, especially in a country like that where if people are in poverty, or people don't really make a lot of money, or they're struggling, or that's their part of their culture or religion to eat those type of animals because they think it's medicinal purposes, or it gives you strength, or it's a religious practice, or whatever. It's possible they can ingest those animals with those diseases, and then they can contract the viruses, the viruses, and pass it on. It's from animals to humans and then to another human. And so it is very possible. So the coronavirus, the symptoms are unknown incubation period. Now, they used to think it was 2 weeks, but they have discovered that it could be longer than 2 weeks incubation period. So there are a large family of viruses that cause not only the common cold, but also more serious respiratory illnesses. And so they explain more in detail. It also can impair the liver and kidney function. Kidney failure could result in severe cough and pneumonia. And so Egypt's another one that's been affected. Finland's another one. France is another one. The numbers beside it show people that have died. And so there's a coronavirus timeline right here, starting from way back in December. That's when that physician that was in China tried to alert people about the virus, and he was silenced. So Germany is another one affected. Greece, India, Iran, with 139. They've taken a really hard hit. Iraq, Israel. So what are some of the symptoms? Fever, breathing difficulties, and coughing. So Italy, 374. And so right now, a lot has been said about Italy because they are being hit the hardest as well. So they're another country that's being hit hard more recently. So as of February 26, Italy has confirmed 374 cases, mostly centered in the country's north, and 12 deaths have resulted behind this. Japan, 179 to 705. Total of 705 people have been quarantined. And that ship that was called the Diamond Princess cruise ship that docked at Yokohama had tested positive for the virus as of February 26. So the elderly people who were on the ship have died. Japan does not include the people on board as part of its national tally in accordance with the World Health Organization guidance. So the national tally is 179 as of February 26, including 3 deaths. Kuwait is affected, Lebanon's affected, Malaysia's affected. And so the coronavirus vaccine human tests months away. Vaccines can take years to develop. I want you to see this. All right, so do not think that this thing is going to go away. A lot of people ignored this. They think it's not that serious, but these are all of the countries affected. Nepal, Oman, the Philippines, Russia. Okay, so Singapore is affected, 91 cases. South Korea, 1,261 are affected, and they have 115 new cases on February 26th, but including 11 deaths. Spain is now being affected. Sri Lanka, Sweden, Switzerland, Taiwan, Thailand is being affected. And this is the doctor who was the whistleblower, and he actually died. He was silenced about this virus. He tried to alert people back in December of 2019, and he was silenced by his own country not to let this information out. And he unfortunately succumbed to the very virus he was trying to protect others from. So the United Arab Emirates and United Kingdom is now affected, which is better known as the UK. United States now, which is here, has 57 cases of the virus as of February the 26th, and the people have not even realized this. I don't think that they've said it enough. Vietnam, 16 cases. So it is very, very much a real thing, and it is spreading, it's growing, and it has grown exponentially, and it continues to grow, and they cannot stop it. And so here it says in 2019, coronavirus is an entirely new strain. There is no existing immunity for it. However, some level of immunity will naturally develop over time, and we only can wait for it to take its course. And so unfortunately, there's going to be school closures. There's going to be businesses that are affected. There are going to be some more deaths. So it says how you can protect yourself is to wash your hands with soap and water thoroughly, cover your face when coughing and sneezing. Face mask is an optional thing. Scientists doubt that effectiveness because it is so easily spread. So I'm going to say this again before I end this video. Coronavirus vaccine, the human tests are months away, and the vaccines take years to develop. If you don't believe me, I'll play this. And I just want to say for people who, if you didn't take this serious before, you should, because I said this early on when I saw it growing so fast in numbers that I felt that this was more than what people are letting on, and I believe it had something to do with the reason why the administration kind of closed the borders, because they kind of knew what was happening. But the thing is that now there are other places that have voluntarily closed their borders, or there's like regulations on travel. There's some travel bans that are in effect in some places that you cannot go. Or if you go, you might not be able to get out of them as quick as you left because of this virus. And so unfortunately you have still people that are skeptic, even though that this is an actual pandemic, because the numbers are low, because when you don't have anybody in your family or people that you know significantly that are affected by these viruses, or this virus, this particular one virus, it doesn't hit home. It won't hit home, like I said, until somebody famous gets it, or if it's close enough to where somebody sees people that they regularly know that have succumbed to this and died of it, or been severely affected by this. And so the numbers will grow, schools will close, and businesses will be affected behind this. And so this is where we're at. And so I'm going to play this video, and then I'm going to end my video. I just want to say I hope that people can be safe. Try to use as much precaution as possible. But this is a pandemic that we're living in, a time we're living in an actual pandemic. And so it's probably the start of something in the U.S. And now there's a CDC warning. There's a state of emergency in San Francisco, and that is close enough. So get ready. They're also in Costa Mesa. They tried to have a quarantine site set up, but the people in Costa Mesa have really been paying attention to this, and they're afraid, and they do not want them setting up shop as a quarantine site there, because what do we know? A lot of those quarantine sites, we don't know if people are going to escape. We don't know if people are going to lie and go back to their homes and expose people to this virus, and then there's going to be more casualties, or more deaths, in other words, or possible deaths, people heavily affected by it. And so we don't know if these people are going to get on the bus, if they're going to go to public crowded spaces, like we have malls, we have retail places, restaurants, people where they frequent. You don't know who's been affected by this, and so it puts a lot of people's lives at risk. And so you don't know how you're going to hold up if you contract this. And so that is where the fear comes in. That's the reason why they ambush some of these buses that carry these people, because a lot of people are afraid that their families are going to be greatly affected, and that their neighborhoods. And a lot of times, what do we know? Usually the neighborhoods that are not as favored have like things that are set up that you have no control over, that you don't know about, they don't tell you about, and then all of a sudden all of the people that you've known or that you've lived around are now sick with this. And so here's this video. You can be your own judge of what do you think is going to happen. Just got to stay healthy and see what happens. And there's really, what they're saying is to prepare for this thing to really just sweep through a lot of communities. Some people have already kind of thought that this could be a thing that it was kind of set up to kind of do away with a lot of folks. We have a lot of different theories, but what we do know is that they don't have a cure for this, and that vaccines are not readily available. And if they have any, like I said earlier on, probably the people who will be the first ones to actually receive vaccines are maybe people who have like medical insurance, or they're able to furnish, they have a lot of money. We don't know. We could only assume. It seems like that was what happened with HIV back when that was a big thing. And so, unfortunately, I don't know. It's just sad to say that this is a really sad thing. But without further ado, here this video goes.
If you like Donald Trump, you'll love Lydia Gutierrez. Gutierrez is the pro-Trump right-wing radical Republican running for school board. She's anti-gay, anti-choice, and anti-Obama. Gutierrez will run our schools like Trump runs our country.
This strain of coronavirus is related to the common cold, as well as the more serious and highly infectious SARS, or severe acute respiratory syndrome. At the moment, there is no vaccine or known cure for this new virus. What we do know is that it most likely passed from animals to humans in a market in the Chinese city of Wuhan, and it's believed to have likely originated in bats. Chinese scientists were able to quickly identify its genetic sequence, allowing researchers across the world to start work on treatments. In Australia, officials say they've developed a lab-grown version of the virus, which would be a major step towards creating a vaccine. Drugs used to fight HIV and influenza have been tested in China as possible treatments, and officials say they are showing promising signs. However, the World Health Organization has played down reports of any kind of breakthrough. But some drug makers are expected to begin vaccine tests on humans, possibly within 3 months. That may seem a while away, but this process has traditionally taken years. Right now, some of the best ways to prevent the spread of coronavirus is to avoid contact with those showing symptoms, washing your hands regularly, and covering your mouth when coughing or sneezing.
I just want to say that commercial, it has nothing to do with what I believe in. So that just happened to be something that was part of that video. So I just wanted to see what the lady was talking about in terms of the spread of it and whatnot. But there's a map here. And there's also another video that's associated with this. So if there's any commercial, I don't have anything to do with that. That's just something that I think was attached to it.
We and the health authorities have not been able to locate patient 0. Because we haven't identified this, it's difficult to make any predictions about how the virus will spread. So the only valid measure to be taken was to close off these territories.
We're all afraid, but we're crossing our fingers it'll be alright. If someone doesn't feel well, they should react early because people can be cured. If they come to hospital in a desperate situation, it's much more difficult to cure them.
have vividly witnessed how dangerous it is to have a mass meeting in an enclosed indoor place in terms of the spread of contagious disease. I urge everyone to restrain themselves from group events or activities, not only in indoor places but also outdoor places.
The South Korean government is hoping its latest measures will help limit the clusters of infection to this part of the country, knowing the price of failure could mean the kind of travel restrictions imposed on China, with the damage that would cause to its economy.